Welcome in, everybody. It is another episode of Fantasy Football Picks and Bets presented to you, as always, by Prize Picks. I am your host, Lauren Carpenter. You may know me as Stepmom Lauren, and today is Sunday, August 22nd. But we're coming at you with some pretty fun stuff today. We have Monday Prize Picks. We have Monday Daily Fantasy. But we're also taking a look back, and we're looking at Saturday and maybe Sunday mornings preseason games, some reactions, what we think. Are there any takeaways? We also have some injury recaps for you. And as always, everybody, like I said, is presented by Prize Picks. And if you have not signed up for Prize Picks yet, first of all, what are you waiting for? It is so much fun, my new obsession. But you need to sign up with the promo code MMN. Why? Because your deposit gets doubled up to $100 for you to spend. That's like free money, people. So you put in $50, you get $100. You put $100, you get $200 to spend. That's about the extent of where my math goes without a calculator. So that's the whole deal. Remember, promo code MMN. Go to prizepicks.com, or if you're lazy like I am, there is a link in the description of this video. Remember, promo code MMN. And again, as always, I think that's going to be my phrase for this show is as always, but a little bit different than some other guests that I've had. I have a really good friend of mine joining me today. Excuse me. I speak English. It's Sunday. My brain's fried. Don't worry about it. We'll go on from there. But we have the one and only Scott Simpson. He is here to join us today in Blue Numbers. My friend, how are you doing today? Thank you for helping me out, because clearly I need all the help I can get.
You know what? I'm so excited to be here, Lauren, and no joning. That's not how we're going to do that. I'm excited to be working with the Mayo Media Network this year and be working with you. I'm sure we'll have more than one pod this year to kind of go back and forth. So this is going to be fun, and we're going to try to keep it professional, but we're going to laugh and have a good time and keep it light. It's the preseason. Our money hasn't gone yet. We still have lots of our money left to kind of play with all season. So it's kind of fun right now to play Prize Picks, DraftKings, and look back at preseason. I mean, I love it. It's going to be a great show.
I know. Can we make joning like a thing? Can we make it into a word that has meaning? We're going to try to do this, you and I, so that we can have some meaning behind this now inside joke that we have just created right here. And we do have money that we can spend on these things. And if you use the promo code MMN, you now have double the money in order to make some more money, which is what we're here for. So Scott, let's dive right into our Monday Prize Picks. What do you say, my friend? Why don't we get into those?
Oh, I'm so excited about the Prize Picks for Monday. I mean, every day I'm excited for Prize Picks, and that's what's cool with the last couple of weeks. 2 weeks. There's been multiple days of football instead of just one or two. So you have like Prize Picks every day. So really cool. There's Prize Picks up for today, even still for some of the games. So go check it out over there, MMN for sure. Let's start off with the rushing props here, I'm looking at my screen. There's three props for the game. Dare Ungabawale. I'll say that three times fast. Devonta
That
Smith.
was awesome. P.S. Give yourself some credit right there, my friend, because that was awesome.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you. Well, as a teacher, I try to learn all my students' names. I'm in a really diverse county with people from all over the world, which is amazing. I love it. And so trying to actually understand the pronunciation is tricky, but I'm trying my best here. So if I mess up, feel free to call me. Devonta Freeman, we know who he is. Latavius Murray, all the props are kind of low. Some of them are dangling fruit. I'm not in love with any of these props necessarily for the running backs. I think that, Dare has the best chance to get it. He had 24 yards last week on 8 carries. So just volume wise, he was outpacing everybody else. Still, though, it's a stout Saints defense. I don't know if they're going to feature Dare as often. So I think that's the one I would go for if I'm looking for a Jags running back. On the Saints side, Devonta Freeman, for me, has more upside in this matchup just because they don't know where he's fitting in on this team. They just signed him. They want to give him a chance to kind of be that third or fourth running back, and they already know where Latavius Murray stands. I mean, why are you going to burn out Latavius Murray in preseason? For him to get 30 yards, either he busts off a long one or they give him 6, 7, 8 carries. I don't think you do that to Latavius. So I think if you're going to go with one of the Saints running backs, I would go with Freeman in this matchup. He's got the lower total too by 5 yards at 25.5. So what about you? What do you think about the rushing kind of upside in this game?
They're probably going to have to rely on a lot of rushing. Am I right? We got a quarterback battle here for this Saints game, and I cannot wait to see what happens. I think you and I have a take that's a little bit spicy on that one moving forward, but these Prize Picks are yours, my friend, because I am here for your expertise, because I need your expertise. Like I said, I need your knowledge. I need that research, because guys like you put in that time in this preseason to find all the information that some of us just don't have time to do. Maybe we got other stuff going on, but Nimblue numbers over here, my buddy Scott, he can give you that kind of information that isn't necessarily at the helm, super ready, at your fingertips. It takes some digging in order to do. So I love that on your rushing takes. Let's go on to the next category on Prize Picks. And if you're following along, these are categories right on the tabs there. So if you just go on over to the passing section, give me what you got on passing here. These are over-unders that I think might be kind of juicy. What do you think?
Yeah, so I like 2, and I'm going to fade 1. And so Trevor Lawrence at 80.5, I definitely think he's capable of hitting that number. My issue, though, is just the rotation that he's going to be in, with the pretty boy, the mustache man himself, Gardner Minshew, one of our favorite characters who kind of emerged last year as just a personality, and or maybe the year before. But, I like him, but I don't like him in one quarter getting 80 yards. I think that's just kind of a high total. If he plays into the second and they give him more snaps, which maybe they're going to do, but I think they're going to give maybe 3 or 4 quarterbacks a chance this week. So I just don't like that high total for him. The Saints are good. They're vulnerable defense, or a venerable defense, not a vulnerable defense. They're venerable. So I'm not going to go with Trevor Lawrence. On the other hand, you talked about Taysom Hill. You're a big Taysom Hill truther, which I love. Last week, he had 8 receptions. He had 80 yards, so about 10 yards per reception. This week, he's going to get about a quarter as well. He's going to get the second quarter. I think he has 8 to 10 receptions in him. And if he averages 8 yards a reception, or maybe around 7.5, let's just say, he's going to hit that number at 63.5. So I know that you were excited about that, kind of pre-show. Tell me what you see in Taysom that you like him so much.
Okay, so the reason I like Taysom is mine is going to be that redraft fantasy perspective on a season long. And not necessarily that I would draft Taysom Hill myself, but what I do like out of Taysom Hill is that Sean Payton, the head coach of the Saints, has kind of leaned on Taysom Hill. And I say this from the perspective of the overarching theme of everybody expected to be Jameis Winston. I am not really sold on that. And that is kind of why I like Taysom Hill a little bit, because I like to be a little controversial. I like to be a little cantankerous sometimes. And I like that Taysom Hill is pretty scrappy. I like that he's pretty new to this, and he's giving a veteran, if you will, like Jameis Winston, a run for his money, because I don't think Winston's really pulled ahead of the pack that like he should. And I just think everyone is just assuming it's going to be Jameis Winston's job. And I think that is still a big question that is up in the air for me.
Yeah, and I think they're going to be both used and utilized. I mean, we saw last year with Taysom Hill, he was effective. They did not, they missed a little bit in Drew Brees, but Taysom Hill was still, he brought a little bit of different ground game, which you're not going to see in the preseason just because it's a little bit, new. You're trying to figure out in this matchup. Sean Payton wants to see between both quarterbacks who's going to have the most effective rapport with his wide receivers, who's going to be able to get the ball through his reads, get through those progressions, know where the ball is going to go effectively, get the ball to the receivers without turning it over. Jameis, I know he's got at least one. There's not a prop on here, but there's an interception prop or a fumble prop. I would definitely take it somewhere today for Jameis. It's just what he does. So I think Peyton wants to see him not do that. And Taysom Hill doesn't turn the ball over that much. So I think Taysom just has to kind of, like you said, ride the storm out. But I think both of them hit over on this. I think, Winston going up against a Jags defense that was, bottom half of the league last year against wide receivers. I think they're going to try to get that wide receiver rapport, like I said, set up. So look for a lot of targets. Look for Marquez Callaway to get the attention. Look for Lil Jordan Humphrey to get some as well. So I like both of these overs in this one.
One of the greatest names in the NFL, Lil Jordan Humphrey. I like that. Humphreys. Is Freeze or Free?
It's Free. I checked because I thought it was Freeze, and I wrote it in that. Yeah, Humphrey. But it's still really cool.
I do, but you know what? As a person who I don't have one of those names that could, maybe I can. It's Carpenter, but if someone called me Carpenters, I'd be like, I'm singular. I'm not plural. Right. So I apologize, Lil Jordan. That was my bad. My bad, my friend.
Well, maybe
let's go ahead.
He brings it so much that he's like plural. You know what I mean? Maybe in this matchup.
That's true. Actually, you know what? I should be plural because the amount of personalities that I have is probably conditional, and I should see someone about it, but I won't because I'm totally fine.
Hey, we're
what do you
podcasting
mean?
Instead, it's even better. Yeah, why?
I know. So there you go. This is personality number 422. I don't know. Let's go on to passing though. What do you think? We got some over under on We just did passing. Receiving is what I mean. We're going to go into the receiving on Prize Picks. Again, if you're following along, it is in that next tab right on over. Receiving. Talk to me. What we got?
So, there's a couple of different things here, a couple of different angles that I'm kind of looking. Last week, Tavon Austin, who's one of the fastest friends in the NFL, who is he's been a starter before. I know he's kind of fringe. He's never really been as effective as I think everyone wanted him to be. But I think this is when he shines. The preseason is when you're like, this is when Tavon Austin gets his. So over 22 and a half receiving yards. I think he gets 4 or 5 targets this game, just like he did last game. If he can catch 3 or 4 of them, he can turn it into 30 yards. So I like that over. I said cash that ticket for me, please, on the show script. I gotta use that. I gotta be authentic to that one because I do think that one cashes pretty easily. On the other side, the flip side, I'm fading Colin Johnson. He only saw 2 targets last week and for 0 yards. So 1 catch, 0 yards. I know that they've featured him downfield before, but I'm just not seeing a big Colin Johnson, 30 yard reception performance. So I'm fading him at his. So that's where I'm kind of going with the Jacksonville Jags. On the other side, I do like Callaway. He's got 27 and a half receiving total. I like the over for that. Like I said before about the reps. And so that's somebody who I think you can target and kind of have confidence that if he gets a few receptions, he's going to hit that total.
I'm just seeing the other name that we have here on Prize Picks, and it's Ty Montgomery. He is like slowly turning into a Frank Gore of like multiple positions. Like he's yet on another team here, and as a running back, this man just goes beyond my mind. But what do you think about Ty Montgomery here? Was he one that stuck out to you, or were you just kind of like, nah? Because I think that might be a name that some people may recognize from the regular season, and they may be tempted. But what do you think?
It comes down to whether or not what he does with his catches, if he gets a couple catches. I don't think he's going to get a lot of volume in this matchup. And so definitely could break that and go downfield. The Saints offense is kind of designed to move the ball downfield. So I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm not going to be betting on that necessarily happening in this game. It could be him, Callaway, I don't know, Deontay Harris hasn't been featured at all. So there's just different things that could happen. We don't know what they're going to do. But I'd like the Callaway play better. Just I think you're trying to look for receivers who are going to be starters, getting those reps with Jameis and with Taysom. And so not that Ty Montgomery's not going to be a starter, but I don't think he's going to. I think Callaway's played better. And so I think they want to get him more targets.
I like it. So we're taking the over on Callaway. I really like that because you're taking that perspective from the quarterback point of view, which is something we need to consider when we're looking at this in a vacuum, right? Because this is preseason information. When you know this kind of stuff, you have to put it into storylines. And that is how we're making those decisions moving forward, which I love. Again, everybody, prizepicks.com, promo code MMN, Mayo Media Network. You can also follow the link that's right in the description of this video if you're lazy, like I am. Remember, promo code MMN. Your deposit up to $100 gets doubled. It's like free money, and I love it because I like free money a lot. I like shoes. Actually, no, I don't. I usually just wear flip-flops. I like t-shirts. That's what I spend. What do you spend your money on?
Honestly, until this last year, I had never spent my money at all. I love.
I'm sorry. Are you human? Do you have like online shop? What is wrong with you? No.
A lot is wrong with me. So I'll just say my wife takes care of a lot of the online shopping for our family's quota in the world of online shopping. She does a lot of that for my lovely girls. Shout out London and Adelaide. They're my favorites. And for herself too. I came from a family of a lot of kids. And so we never had anything. And so I've always just kind of deprived myself of resources and survived on little. So I finally bought myself a 70-inch Vizio TV, which it's not even that great. It's $700, not even that great, but it's huge. It's like that's something I spent my money on, but my wife made me go get some new shoes. So on Saturday, I went and bought 4 pairs of shoes. So I did spend some money on shoes, and they look nice. I'm going to rock them out at school this year wearing shorts because my classroom has no windows. So this is my kind of my experience with I got to rock shorts. So
I am really proud of you. I am really proud of you for buying that 70-inch TV. I'm a sucker for TVs as well. I like to have every single open space on my wall plastered with TVs. Ask my husband. It's a true story. I should send a picture of all the TVs that are in my living room. I look like a sports bar. But congratulations on your new shoes purchase. That is a step in the right direction. And also congratulations to your wife taking care of your shopping. And also big shout out to London. She is a champ. Let's go ahead and move on to our daily fantasy now. For all of us DraftKings junkies, we want to set some daily fantasy lineups for Monday. I know you did some pretty stellar research on this. In fact, he was like, I really want to talk about this. So Scott, take it away.
Yeah, so I'm not going to just lean on myself here because I think if you're doing good research, you're reading other people, you're investing in people who are smart. So one of my favorite people came on the show last week, Matt Kajeski over at Awesemo. He shared last week on the show just the way that he builds some of these showdown lineups is to look at the defenses and to say, is there something in this matchup that could be exploited and you can kind of differentiate yourself, vary yourself in the captain spot. And so this week I'm looking at a Saints defense who is much better. And as a team, the team is much better than the Jaguars. And I know the Jaguars are going to play a lot of different quarterbacks. It's not going to be one kind of systemic system going down the field. You kind of see what everybody can do. So I kind of just like this matchup for the Saints defense. And so if you're trying to differentiate, you don't have to do this, but I'm going to kind of follow the Matt Kajeski train of thought. He's not saying to do it this week, but I kind of like this as a matchup for this defense. So I'm going to put them in there as my start. And then from there, if I'm kind of game scripting this and thinking about what's happening, I've already talked about the over for both quarterbacks. I'm thinking that Jameis, or if you're going to play either one, Jameis or our guy Taysom, make good plays. And if you're going to play one of them, you should stack them with somebody. So Lil Jordan Humphrey is stackable, Marcus Callaway is stackable too. And so those are some of the wide receiver pairings that I would go for. If you're playing with Lauren, she's going to go Taysom Hill. I might go Jameis just to differentiate, so we don't share the pot, which sucks when you have to share the GPP pot, by the way. So I think there was one of the showdowns last year, like 400 people won or 500 or whatever it was, and everyone got like $50 or $500. It was just so discouraging, so you don't want to do that. So we're going to differentiate. On the running back side, last week Tony Jones Jr. just ran all over the place. He had 120 combined yards passing and rushing. I like what I saw in him. He's not on the prize picks pool, but he is over there on DraftKings, which is cool. So I'm kind of exploiting that matchup. I'm going to drop him in there, just getting a couple receptions. I like that. The Saints do throw the football against a defense maybe in the third or fourth quarter who's not that good. The Jags aren't rolling out great depth there at the third and fourth stringers. So there's an opportunity, I think, there for Jones to kind of exploit that. And then on the other side, with the Jags, I think they're going to run into a little bit of trouble. So if you're going to put a quarterback in there, maybe go C.J. Beathard. He's in mop-up duty. Maybe he plays 2 quarters or maybe a quarter and a half. I don't like really either one of the first, Gardner Minshew or, Trevor Lawrence in that first couple of quarters. I think they're going to be up against better competition. So maybe get the Saints when they're down. If you want to play, I don't think I'm going to play, C.J. Beathard. But if you want to kind of get that upside there, I know that would kind of be a way to offset your team and make stuff a little bit different. Skill position-wise for the Jags, they have some players. Tavon Austin, I mentioned before. He's a little moneymaker play that you could, have on the back end. And then I always like Laviska. Laviska is just like a running back, Deebo Samuel type. And so it's preseason. We can see what happens. He didn't get a lot of targets last week, but we'll see if he gets a couple more. He's somebody who I always kind of want to play around with. So, he's going to be a more brand name who's going to be on the field and maybe not the whole game, but Tavon Austin, I think, does have some sneaky upside and maybe a touchdown in him. We'll see.
I love it. I have 2 things I want to add to this. Full disclosure, again, for anyone who missed the episode that I had Matt Kajeski on, every time I saw his name, I really had to practice in the mirror and say his name correctly, because every time I read it, all I thought was Mike Gesicki, the tight end. And it was really bad. So do you want to know how bad it was, Scott? When I read your show notes, I literally read Mike Gesicki builds his show. And I'm like, what does he mean about Mike Gesicki? This should be interesting. Literally, that is what my brain is still like. I can't. You know what else my brain can't end up getting away from before we move on to our preseason week 2 recap is every time I see the name CJ Beathard, I giggle. And I am not ashamed to admit it. Go look it up for the spelling if you don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, let's go ahead and talk about our preseason week 2 recap. I mean, we were looking for, but now we're going to go ahead and look backwards. It's preseason. Some people may not really want to talk about it. Some people may not really care about it, but we care about it. We're talking about it because these are ways for us to make money. But let's go ahead and have some reactions to what happened. Okay. We had our first 2 games, which didn't coincide with one another. Luckily, we could watch each one of them. I had a serious situation when it came to the 7:00 games, but about that later. So we looked at the Buffalo Bills at the Chicago Bears, but we also saw the New York Jets at the Green Bay Packers. I just want to throw my little 2 cents in here first, if you don't mind, Scott. But I loved the Mitch Trubisky revenge narrative that was going on here for the Bills against the Bears. So if anybody missed it, Trubisky was actually starting for the Buffalo Bills. And again, I'm going to have 2004 call me back for its phrase, but he opens up a can of whoop ass on the Bears. And it was pretty awesome. I found myself cheering for him. But then on the other game, too, I want to touch on how very impressed I was with Zach Wilson. Like he looked okay. All right, I see you, Zach. That was pretty awesome. And as much as I really love Jamison Crowder, I cannot ignore the chemistry and basically the security blanket that Zach Wilson is creating with the new Jet, former Titan, Corey Davis. What do you think?
Yeah, I like what I've seen from Zach Wilson. I was a little down on him out of all the rookie quarterbacks coming out. There's a lot of rookie quarterbacks. I think the Jets.
I know, me too. I was too.
Yeah, and I think the Jets situation, though, if he does have the opportunity to kind of fling it, as they say, yeah, there could be a lot of upside with Zach Wilson. I was an Elijah Moore truther, and I still think he's going to have a good season. But the early season rapport with Zach Wilson and Corey Davis is undeniable. They look really good together, and that's good. A young rookie quarterback needs a veteran wide receiver who can trust. We can put the ball in space and go, "You're big, you can go get this." And I think Zach Wilson's got that zing to be able to put it out there and maybe not leave him hanging. So kind of maybe put him in stride. You put him in stride and give him space. I think there's definitely an opportunity. Same with Elijah Moore, though, man. You give Elijah Moore some space. You saw the training camp footage. Maybe the Jets, DBs are just straight trash. I don't think they are. I mean, they're not great, but man, geez Louise, he was putting them in a blender, and he looked great too. So I do think there's a lot of upside in that situation there. And I like how, you've kind of picked up on the young quarterback, and then also the revenge quarterback. So a lot of quarterback narratives,
Yes.
from both games, which dominates my thoughts too. So, I mean, Justin Fields, he looked great when he was running for his life, scrambling away, almost getting killed. One time I thought he was getting killed. By the way, there's no reason for that type of hit. It is not 1985 anymore. And so I understand it's hard. I'm not going to, be critical of everybody, but God, just wrap up, man. Hit around the stomach area. This is a marquee franchise quarterback. We can't have him getting hurt by a head injury. So please, no more of that. And his offensive line, man, you guys got to do a better job protecting him. So those are kind of two key takeaways. Is make sure we protect our quarterbacks because we want to see them for a long time. Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, they're lighting it up. Let's keep it going.
I know. I'll piggyback one more thing on that one too, is that when Dalton was in, it was vanilla. It was boring. It was kind of like meh. The crowd booed him. And then in like classic Dalton fashion, he's like, "Oh, you're going to boo me?" Yeah. And he like threw a 73-yard touchdown bomb, but I don't think anyone cared. But as soon as Justin Fields came in, it was, "We are not worthy." It was the roaring crowds. But when you have a terrible offensive line, what you need is a mobile quarterback in order to extend plays and be able to move the chains. So this is going to be very difficult for Matt Nagy moving forward, because what does he do here? Does he want to win football games, or does he want to protect his franchise quarterback? This is going to be very challenging for him. And I think Justin Fields is just making the case after every game that we've seen him play against Andy Dalton that this might be his team a lot sooner rather than later. I don't think it's week 1 because that's against the Rams and Aaron Darnold. So that may be Andy Dalton's chance to be the sacrificial lamb, if you will. Do you have anything else you want to add, or I am going to move on to the 7:30 o'clock slate? Scott, what do you think?
I'm just going to agree with you on that. And I think that Matt Nagy keeps saying, like, "This is my girlfriend. Hey, everybody, I want everybody to know this is my girlfriend right here. I love her. She's Andy Dalton's my girlfriend, and I love her." And then, like, right behind him is, right there is Justin Fields. We can all see him. And he's like, "I love this. This is my," I think he keeps looking at Justin Fields the whole time. Like, we know he's going to go to him. I'm guessing it's week 2. We're hoping it's week 2. But man, yeah, I mean, you might see the Red Rifle just get, decimated in week 1, and he has to come in week 1. I don't know, so I like what you said about the rolling pocket. You got to get the chains moving. You got to move that space and create, spacing all around by doing that. And Justin Fields can do that for days. So I love that. Great take.
Awesome. Thank you. I'll be here all week. Actually, no, just maybe once a week. I don't know. I haven't had my schedule yet, but we'll go ahead and move on to the next part of our schedule, which are the 7 o'clock, 7:30 games. Let me just run through them real quick, Scott, before I get your take first this time. We had Baltimore at Carolina. We had Atlanta at Miami, which, P.S., Cable, get your stuff figured out because that was not on when it was supposed to be on. Thank you very much. Moving on to the next one. We also had Detroit at Pittsburgh. Oh boy, that game. And we had Tennessee at Tampa Bay. Give me your first thoughts. Let's run through these.
Yeah, so let's start with the Ravens and the Panthers. For me, I like Terrace Marshall a lot. He's somebody who I've been drafting in best ball, drafting and redraft, doing a lot of work with him. He's going to.
I like that best ball call. I really like that best ball call right there. Well done. Continue. Sorry about that.
No worries. He's going to be a problem this year. He's just going to be a problem. He's 6'2", 205, 210. Like he's huge. He's going to be a problem in the slot. You saw him, already gaining steam. And yeah, it's kind of, in that maybe he's not the best of the best competition, but he's doing it and he's not missing a beat. You think he was a veteran just jumping in, catching those flyer outs. And I love it. So I'm a Terrace Marshall guy. And he kind of stood out to me last week. And then he continued to kind of that momentum was just there. He looks like a professional wide receiver. He looks like a grown ass man, to borrow Pete Overzet. Shout out Pete Overzet's phrase. Yeah, for sure. Grown ass man.
I love it. So for me, what really spoke to me on this first game, and right here, guys, for everybody, listening at home, we're talking about the Baltimore. Are we talking about which game? See, I've already lost. Yeah, Baltimore at Carolina. See, yep. I told you I was delirious. But this is something that I think you agree with me here too. When we're talking on the Panthers side, we have Sam Darnold, who finally started, and his connection that he has with Robbie Anderson that I love in regular, redraft fantasy. I think you can get him at an absolute steal. I loved that. But it's like, what do you do with these? This is preseason. So it's kind of like, meh. Like, I don't really know how else to see this because Sam Darnold had this amazing connection with Robbie Anderson, I think on like one completion. And then by the time that drive all the way got all the way to the red zone, he like sailed it over the dude's head. I'm like, dude, where are you? No, what are you doing? Darnold.
The Sam Darnold.
This is your chance, man. Like, I can't. Like, that worries me. That does worry me. And I really want Darnold to succeed this year. I don't like it.
Well, I agree with you on Robbie Anderson being undervalued. And so we're talking about somebody who last year he broke 1,000 yards for the first time. That was great. He was very efficient. I think he was above 70%, around 70% catching the football. So he's somebody who is, I think, not their best receiver overall, but I think he is going to be somebody who Sam Darnold can rely on. The problem, though, is can we rely on Sam Darnold? And like you said, he's hit and he's missed. And so he needs to get his stuff together. I'll say that nicely before I can kind of invest that much in Robbie Anderson. Robbie Anderson's going at that wide receiver 32 where he is a great value. But if Jerry Jeudy's there, because he's getting drafted like right next to him, I'm just so tempted to go Jeudy until I see Sam Darnold like be consistent. That's what I want from him.
I love it. Okay, so let's go ahead and speed up here through the rest of these games because the only thing I want to mention is Chuba Hubbard is no Christian McCaffrey. I still am down on J.K. Dobbins because Gus Edwards is going to be an absolute nightmare for fantasy owners who think that this is J.K. Dobbins' backfield because it's not. Let's go ahead and move on to the Falcons and the Dolphins. For me, Tua looked okay. But for me, really, this boils down to what is happening with that running back room in Miami. I don't think there was too much clarity. There might be like a lean towards Myles Gaskin, who everyone said was dead. And I'm just like, oh, look, there he is. Look, he's not dead. I see him. It's like Bigfoot sighting.
He's there.
I see him, Gaskin.
Well, I got to say, I have been hesitant with Gaskin, just drafting and redraft and best ball and different things. Just I don't know what his role is going to be. He did look good though in the role that we saw him. Caught a touchdown pass. He looked nimble out of the backfield. Shout out my wife. She hates the word adroit, so I became nimble with numbers instead of adroit because she hates it. So I couldn't do adroit. So
why?
She every time I
adroit's a fabulous word. Moist, not a good word. Adroit, great word.
I love that word. Every time I'd say it, she'd go, "Yeah, I don't like that word." So it's nimble instead of adroit. But I think he is very nimble, and if he's at a passing game role, then I'm in. Especially if we can get him later. If people are doubting him like I am, maybe he falls a little bit in your draft, and you're not. This thing, Lauren, you're in so many of these industry drafts too, where we're all like cutting edge, razor sharp. Like I got him two rounds ahead of ADP. I'm drafting against Denny Carter or whatever. And you're just like, It's ridiculous, So home leagues are a little less cutthroat, so he might slip. I do like him as an RB3, upside RB2 in that flex role every week. But honestly, wide receivers rule the day. So we'll just see kind of where I'm at there in the process.
I definitely agree with you for Myles Gaskin on that flex role here. And then for the Falcons, for me on this one, this just kind of looked like, who are we going to put behind Mike Davis? That was about it for me. That's all I got out of that.
Yeah. Well, his thighs. One of his thighs is behind his other thigh. He's hiding, smuggling hams in his thighs. So, yeah, I mean, when you have two of them, you just don't need anybody else behind him. But I'm just worried about him lasting the whole season. So I think you're right. Somebody has to kind of be behind him, and we'll see kind of what happens in the first couple of weeks. I think he'll be hot off the first start. I do think he will.
Nice. And that's something to keep in mind on too, is who is going to be taking that quote RB2 role for the Falcons here. Let's go ahead and roll right forward here. We've got the my husband's team, the Lions, against the Steelers. And the one takeaway, actually, I'm going to make it two takeaways that I got here for Detroit, is that it still sucks to be a Lions fan, but you guys have a great punter. Good job. Because you need it.
Right. Well, here's badly. You can't bite any kneecaps if you can't catch anybody. You know what I mean? The tackling
was atrocious. Literally, their punter was the shining light of that whole game. Right. Everyone in my house, we were talking about it. We're like, damn, that punter is good, but that doesn't win you football games.
What is your husband, not to try to inside baseball, the podcast, but what does he think about Dan Campbell? Because I think he's a maniac, no offense,
He loves Dan Campbell because my husband is he is a bearded man. He is ferocious. He is a man's man. So kind of the same mentality. He doesn't necessarily agree with biting kneecaps off. Thank goodness, because otherwise we might have an issue. But I'm excited about Dan Campbell too, but excitement doesn't translate into winning. And what we saw there was incredibly poor tackling. In fact, it was so bad, the NFL Network actually went away to another thing and then came back, and somehow in that break, they scored 20 points, and I don't even know how they did it. No clue.
No clue. Who knows?
Don't know. But what do you think on the Steelers side? Because there was really nothing to write home about for the poor Lions. But we saw Najee Harris come in. We actually saw Big Ben play. And my favorite wide receiver, Deontay Johnson, please work on your drops. He had a pretty nice drive there with Ben Roethlisberger too. What do you think?
Yeah, you know what? I like seeing Big Ben out there. I think we were worried about Big Ben this offseason. He was. I
don't know why. I love him.
Yeah, he was waffling, and so I think if you see him at the beginning of the year, he's fresh. By the end, he does kind of it takes its toll on him. And so now I love seeing Big Ben. He looks thinner. He just looks like he's, better. He's more mobile. He can move around. So
right. So he doesn't look like the super fat version of Anchorman when he lost his job.
Right.
That's what you're saying.
Right. Yes. Yeah. He's adapted a little bit. So I like seeing that. I love Deontay Johnson. I also love Chase Claypool as well. I'm kind of a little down on Juju this year myself, but yeah, I do love Deontay Johnson. He's one of my favorites. And then Najee Harris, besides just the Lions, this is what I was thinking. People can go, the Lions, they suck. They can't tackle anybody. But according to Warren Sharp over there at the sharpfootballstats.com, the Steelers face 12 teams that are in the bottom 15 of defensive rush efficiency all year. So they're going to be giving Najee Harris the ball a lot. They're going to be getting 6. Even if they suck as a line, they're up against other teams' lines that suck. So you saw a preview of it. If your line sucks, my line sucks. Let's give a little screen pass over Najee Harris and then run through your defense. So I do love the PPR upside for Najee Harris a lot. And so hope you bought the dip when people said his line sucks and he went down, and I've always been on him, and I have him ranked right in front of Antonio Gibson in middle of the second round, kind of maybe 204, 205. I don't know. I'm not sure. We'll figure it out.
I love that. I would not be surprised if Najee Harris it continues to increase in ADP right before we get to draft season. So keep your eye on that too. I believe in it. I wouldn't mind taking a first round on Najee Harris. But let's get to our last game of this 7:30 slate here really quick. I have some super hard-hitting analysis. It starts with O.J. Howard. Why don't you go ahead and say what you were going to say, and then I'll say what I'm going to say.
Yeah, he made a catch. So, and
he also missed a catch.
And he dropped a ball, too.
Right.
Yeah. And
That's it.
Yeah, that was it. And so I was thinking, Bruce Arians loves tight ends so much. It was just such an important thing to let people know that he got 2 targets. That's crazy.
Yeah. 1 for 1. It could have been worse. Also could have been better, but hey, there was that. So that's really all I got out of the Titans-Bucks game. No starters, boring. All right, moving on. We have our 8 p.m. slate, and in this one, we saw the hot mess that is Houston at Dallas, as well as Indianapolis at Minnesota, the Texans. This is such a gross situation all across the board when it comes to running backs. Mark Ingram was like, look, I'm so awesome again. I'm like, dude,
got a new number. Got a new number.
Calm down. Calm down, man. And then there's the whole quarterback situation, which is another absolute mess. I got absolutely no clarity out of this whatsoever behind like David Johnson, Philip Lindsay, Mark Ingram, Rex Burkhead. Like, what are we doing here? I really have no idea.
No, it didn't look great. I mean, honestly, I was surprised that Davis Mills played so long, and he looked better. He only, he didn't look terrible. He didn't look like the worst. I mean, okay, he didn't look great, but still, he was there. He was there.
Be honest, dear. Be honest.
He was looking like a real quarterback when he was dropping back, at least. I'll put that in. Like, it looked real, and that's what the Texans need. Just something that looks kind of real.
Well, he's going to be like a cardboard cutout? Like, of course he's real. Like, he's a human.
No, I'm just saying it looks like football, even though it's like not. You know what I mean? Like, they're trying to.
Right. Touche. Right. Nailed it.
But I mean, the David Johnson thing about where'd he go? Like, you ever on the highway and they have like those silver alerts, or like, someone's missing and they're like, and like they're a danger to the community. I think that's David Johnson. Like, where is he? He's not helping his team. Where is he? What's he going to do this year? You know what I'm saying? Like, Philip Lindsay, I think, is the back to grab there. I'm not grabbing a lot of backs in Houston, honestly. So, but
right.
Old man Johnson, he's just not it.
Yeah, this game did not give me any clarity. And really the only thing I was paying attention to here on the Dallas side of the ball, we all know Tony Pollard's amazing behind Ezekiel Elliott, so he's going to be an insurance policy for me, no doubt, if I'm going to prescribe to that during my drafts. But it's really like, what's this quarterback competition going to look like behind Dak? Because he got a shoulder injury, he had his ankle injury, whatever. Garrett Gilbert, one of my favorite people ever, sucked. And then we saw Cooper Rush, we saw Ben DiNucci, and it was like, I'm so glad Dak Prescott is back. Real quick on that one before we go to the next game, so we don't,
DiNucci. That's all I have for that one. It's just
DiNucci.
DiNucci. I love
it.
Yeah, I just want him to be on there, so I can be like, hey, when's The Sopranos? You gonna watch The Sopranos with me, Ben DiNucci?
Oh, but DiNucci, what you've done for the family. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So let's go to the fun one. Let's go to the fun one on tight end love, because I feel like because I know you and I do, but tight end love for Irv Smith. Okay, now we did see Kirk Cousins start. Now, when you watch a preseason game, what I like to do is I like to watch and see who are these quarterbacks targeting in these, quote, meaningless games. But what does that chemistry look like? And you know what? I saw him go for Irv Smith, and I was real happy about this. And I think Zimmer had a different take from that you alerted me into. And what was that?
Yeah, it was interesting. I loved it too. And then I remembered back to earlier in the preseason where a reporter asked him. They just said, "Hey, they're risking their life even asking Mike Zimmer a question as a reporter."
He's really angry.
Yeah, he's a tough guy. You know what I'm saying?
He needs to Zimmer down.
He does.
I got you, Mike Randall.
That's hilarious. He does. He needed to Zimmer down this one. They said, "Hey, are you going to have any expanded kind of role for Irv Smith? He's just a real great tight end, or whatever." And he was just like adamant, like, "No. Nothing. We're doing nothing is changing, and then you go out and Kirk Cousins targets him a bunch. And so I just don't believe coach speak as much. Like, even though Mike Zimmer's trying to be hard and like, you know what I mean? Like, he's the same as every other coach. Just like, it's like you're keeping a secret from like the other team. Like, oh no, they're not going to throw to that really good tight end they have there, because Mike Zimmer.
Wink.
Yeah. Ha ha. Like, it's just, come on, Mike, just be like, yeah, man, he's awesome. We're going to do what we can do. Just stop pretending like you're 14 and you have like a secret club that no one knows about, come on.
I have a secret club that no one knows about. Not even you. What is it? You don't even know.
It's a secret.
How's that? All right. So on the Colts side of the ball too, I think the question for me was who is going to be the starting quarterback if Carson Wentz is not healthy enough to go in week 1? Again, wink, wink. He'll be freaking fine. But there's this, situation between Jacob Eason, Sam Ehlinger. I kind of like Sam Ehlinger a little bit. And the only reason I even bring this up before we go on to our last slate of games here, everybody, is I bring this up because if there is a possibility that he doesn't start, it's not about grabbing one of those backup quarterbacks. It's about understanding who that backup quarterback, whichever one it is, starts, who he targets. This is what I want to bring up that is very important to know. If Sam Ehlinger does start week 1, a very sneaky pickup to play, whether it's in redraft off fantasy or for redraft fantasy, or daily fantasy, Zach Pascal, his favorite target. And I think he looked his way every single play. Anything else you want to add there, Scott, before we head on to our last slate of games and then we finish up with our injuries?
No, I love that. And I love the DFS angle as well. And those are some like real cheap plays. I mean, I'm sure Ellinger will be like
super value
price. Yeah. If
which is what I love. Bargain shopper right here.
Yeah. My wife as well. So you guys would probably be besties.
Yes. That's all I got, literally. So if Sam Ehlinger starts, go to Zach Pascal for a super sneaky play, whether in redraft or in DFS. Finally, last one, we had our 10 p.m. games. I thought they were going to be a lot more exciting than they really were, so I was kind of bummed about this. But we had Las Vegas at Los Angeles Rams. I really want to see Matthew Stafford because, like I said, my husband's a Lions fan. I also love Matthew Stafford. It's hidden, but I have a signed Matthew Stafford helmet over here just because I'm still in denial that he's with the team that I hate the most out of the NFL, which is the Rams. I'm from St. Louis. They divorced me to go back to their second wife, but that's neither here nor there. So we did not see any of that. But this Perkins fella, he looked pretty darn good.
Yeah, no, I liked him. And at first I was just taken aback by how fast he was. I just, my mind did not remember him being as fast as he was. It's like when you put on the Rams blue and you just became a little bit faster. But no, he was all over the field. I think he had over like 140 all-purpose yards. And so he was looking good. On the other side of the ball, Nate Peterman is still in the game. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't understand. Like, maybe that guy like has something over the league or has like he won a card game with John.
He's like the Sam Bradford who never actually started.
No.
Like, who is your agent, Sam Bradford, and how did they convince the NFL that you're good?
Yeah, well,
including the Rams. I'm sorry, that was super harsh, but you should see some of his pictures. He's consistently like, which is not a good look. You shouldn't do that.
Really long sleeves on his jersey, and he looked really
dork.
Yeah, dork. Well,
very harsh.
Nathan Peterman is a dork as well. He turned the ball over twice. He fumbled, and
his name is
he had an interception. I mean, he's not even he's not even Jay Peterman's uncle or anything. You know what I mean? Like just or nephew, or he's not. That's the only thing that I just watched all the highlights, and the whole time I just kept thinking, why is he here?
You know, he was there for a long time.
In the game repetitively. I was like, he's still in the game. So it was just, no, thank you. But I did like just the Rams seemed a little bit more fluid than the Raiders, just to be honest.
Oh yeah, you're not lying. The Raiders looked atrocious. Even John Gruden was like, I'm really mad, and cursing on the sideline, and they're like, sorry about that. No, you're not. You purposely went to his face because you knew he was going to curse. Stop it. Don't be coy. Right. All right, let's go ahead and go to our last game that we're going to cover today. Broncos, Seattle. Okay, I am a graduate of the University of Missouri. I am a homer, and I love Drew Lock immensely. And when I watched this game, I cried. I cried tears of sadness, and hope was coming out of my eyelids, down my face, and into tissues because Drew Lock looked atrocious. His first two drives, he got sacked. Teddy Bridgewater looked very, very calm. He actually moved the chains, even though it's not nearly as exciting. That sucked. And the run game was, again, no more clear. What are we going to do with Melvin Gordon? Likely going to be a timeshare. I didn't like anything. But the thing I got the most from the Seahawks was their backup sucks. Their backup quarterback is terrible.
Magoo.
His name is Magoo.
Magoo. Yeah, Magoo. That they kept saying
Magoo.
They were like saying it on purpose. They're like Magoo, Magoo, Magoo.
Every time I would do it too. At any time he was near the ball, I'd be like Magoo. I can't. I have to.
Can't not say it. So it's joning on Magoo is what's coming out of this show.
Well played, sir. Well played. Well played. All right. Did I lose you here? No, I still have you. Yes. Sorry, my screen froze there real quick for a second. All righty. Is there anything else that you want to bring up about this? Because the Sunday game at 1:00 was an absolute snooze fest. I napped.
Yeah, no, I'm out.
I did.
And the Giants are out. They're out. And with Cleveland, they're out too. Yeah, no, I'm not in on any of those run fest, snooze fest. No, thank you.
Yeah, that was super boring. Like I said, I literally took a nap and it was delightful.
Yeah.
Okay. I take naps. It's like my way of getting through this life. Deal with it. All right, let's wrap up with some injury news really quick. We actually got, kind of clean out of this weekend, which is, fingers crossed, something that we always want to see. We don't want to see massive injuries, but we do have a few that we can cover. Luckily, they're not too serious. Jalen Waddle had kind of a scary situation with his knee. That is the rookie wide receiver for the Miami Dolphins. It did not look good. He was trying to block for a Myles Gaskin run. He started limping, but Brian Flores said he got dinged up, and that was it. So apparently this is not incredibly serious, but that's just something to keep your eye on if you guys are in your dynasty leagues. If you decide to take him in redraft, make sure you keep his eyes on what he's doing. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, running back for the Kansas City Chiefs, he had some kind of like an internal ankle sprain. The reason I'm bringing it up is because there still hasn't been any more devastating news. So it looks like we're trending in the right direction for him. He should be good to go for week 1. That is also a great thing. Speaking of that Lions-Steelers game, punters great, Lions suck. Juju Smith-Schuster did have some kind of a hand injury that he suffered. He went into the tent, then he didn't come back out and play. Apparently that's a non-issue, nothing going on there. And then Stephon Diggs, who has been dealing with some kind of a knee issue, should be returning to practice pretty soon, which is all really good. So everyone keep your eye on injury updates, keep your eyes on the news to make sure that you stay on top of those things, whether or not you're doing daily fantasy, you're doing your over-unders on Prize Picks, promo code MMN, or you're getting ready for your redraft fantasy leagues. You need to have this information set and ready to go. So Scott, before we wrap up, please tell everybody what you're working on and where they can find you.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much. You can find me over at NimbleWNumbers on Twitter and then NimbleWNumbers.com. Wide receiver 2 theory. Put it into Google. Get the SEO going for that. Last year, I predicted 8 out of the 10 picks I had were in the top 25 in wide receiver. I told you to take DK Metcalf over Tyler Lockett. I told you guys to take Calvin Ridley over Julio Jones. I was all over it. This year, I got a whole new batch, a whole new set of guys for wide receiver 2 theory. So go check it out over there. And then please check out the Mayo Media Network. Follow us on YouTube. Smash the like button. Smash the subscribe button, please. And then follow Lauren on Twitter. Was it at Lauren Stepmom?
Stepmom Lauren.
Stepmom Lauren. Yeah, follow her on Twitter. And then I think that's it. That's all I think we need to know. And then we have the make sure you do your Prize Picks and you sign up with MNN. And when you do that, you'll get a $100 deposit. You put in $100, it'll double it. So that's money that you can make and spend that is yours to win. Lots of Prize Picks all year. So please do check that out. MMN is the promo code.
Love it. Love it. Mayo Media Network, for everyone who doesn't understand what MMN stands for. Scott, thank you so much. I know we're going to be doing this again in the future. And for everybody, good luck on Monday with all of your Prize Picks, promo code MMN, with all your daily fantasy. And also if you have any drafts coming up, good luck, and we will see you next week.